undefeated, so it's not a big surprise that they're banning that here. I mean, basically SKT is just banning the champions that Besiktas had the most success at with the International Invitational. Thaldrin loves to play Riven. That's why he's hovering this. It is his favorite champion. We're hoping to somehow see it here at MSI. I'm a little bit skeptical of the Riven, especially against SKT here.
You mean first pick blind Riven is not on your expectations, chat?
This isn't solo queue? I thought we were commentating a solo queue game.
But with a mix of lane bans and all of the junglers up, where do they put their priority? You know, for Besiktas, we know that Energy is one of the weaker players. He struggled, even at IWCI, against all of his respective opponents. And it was Thaldrin and Nardius, to a certain extent, that helped carry Besiktas throughout the tournament. So seeing the Sejuani lock in as a first pick, I think that's safe. It's not giving anything up.
Thaldrin definitely came up big for them. Looking now over to the side of SKT, not too many top lane bans out of anywhere. That means Marin can get what he wants.
We also know that if Besiktas is going to win a game here at MSI, it's going to be through team fights. So the first pick of Sejuani is very smart and sound. It is the best team fighting jungler on the current patch, and a very...
behind. Unfortunately for the team, they fell behind often at International Wildcard. They did play from behind relatively well, though, and they bounced back. We rewatched their final against INTZ.
Absolutely.
And multiple times we were going, how did they win this game? How did they win this game? And Besiktas, they found ways to steal Barons. They found ways to stall the game out.
Even if they're down to the last Nexus turret, you can't count these guys out. They will stay alive. A little bit of Faker BM with his soldier, but he's dancing.
It is one thing we have to touch on. Every time we have an international competition like this, players around the world are all very good. The things that separate the great teams from the good teams, or even the great regions from the regions that aren't there yet, is everything that happens before the team fights. A lot of times, the setup for the team fights, the vision control that set up ganks, what actually puts people in unfavorable positions to begin with. Because if Besiktas can actually enter a team fight without any predisposed disadvantages, if they're not getting flanked, if they have the proper vision control, if they haven't had to burn their summoner spells preemptively because of something else, then they're actually quite good. And that's the reason they could come back from large gold deficits against INTZ, is because they were finding fights that didn't start with a disadvantage. But that has actually been SKT's forte throughout League of Legends, is making the fights unfair and then still having the amazing and perfect mechanics.
Really hard to find holes in that defense anywhere in the game. And if they do have one, they patch it up immediately, and you see them take the lead once again. We'll start this off. It looks like we will get a lane swap to start, and we're going to get a nice freeze on the lane as well from Nardius.
So we'll see what Besiktas can do with the lane swap. Things we always talk about, the experience, the goal, the decision-making about pushing those lanes down, and also what you can do against your opponent's top laner. Marin is already in lane, going to start soaking up as much of that XP as possible, whereas Thaldrin is currently doing the double jungle start with the Achilles. And we'll see who's going to have that greater impact.
Yeah, well, this is a little bit strange by Besiktas right now, because it doesn't actually look like they're denying Marin in the slightest. Instead, they're going for a little bit of mid lane.
Looks like Achilles and Thaldrin just on the other side, and it's going to be as well Dumbledoge from the top lane. The hits go in. Oh, 10 points to Dumbledoge. First blood.
Besiktas kills Faker 3 minutes into the first game of MSI. Faker does get camped when he plays a lot of League of Legends games. I wasn't sure he was expecting 4 people mid, 2.5 minutes
Happy birthday! In. But the thing we have to look at is, what does that cost Besiktas? Let's keep a look at the minion numbers, as well as the farm rather, as well as how the next few minutes play out. Remember, Besiktas opted into the lane swap and then made that aggressive play, giving Faker a birthday present he wasn't necessarily expecting.
They burned both of his summoners too. Unbelievable right there. Faker falls that early on in the game. Honestly, that is what happens in a lot of these games that Faker plays in the LCK, is teams will send 3 or 4 people for him. He will actually die sometimes, whereas EasyHoon is a much more reserved player early, so people don't even, they don't think to camp EasyHoon because he's not normally going for 1v1 kills as Faker would be. And he also avoids the ganks.
And something you also, I think we have to step back and look at, Besiktas playing in the international wildcard. They barely scraped into the playoffs. Bengi does find Theocles, but no trouble yet. Besiktas went 3-3 in the group stage, and they only qualified in the 4th seed because of a tiebreaker rule, but then they stepped up their game. It does look they're going for Nardius.
Yeah, Bengi and Wolf have the numbers advantage on Nardius. Jana is nowhere near. They can see that now. Teleport has to come in defensively, but that's a teleport burn and a lot of experience denied.
Yep, this is going to be Bang in the bottom lane by himself now. See that it's going to be a back. We'll see if they can get themselves right into the correct position after this one. Just a quick move to save Nardius.
Yeah, just to finish that thought really quickly, a big reason Besiktas improved so much in the playoffs is Theocles improving and making really strong early plays. They're rinsing, repeating, and they're going for Nardius.
Oh, he does have the flash. There it is from Bengi. He gets the knock up, the spell shield just a little too late, and spent. Nardius goes down.
Oh!
He is able to get a retribution kill for himself on Bengi.
With a 3-man gank, being able to get that return kill is another thing that has gone great for Besiktas early on in this game, but with all of that, with the gank on Faker, with the kill back on the turret dive, it's a 1 to 200 gold advantage for Besiktas. They have invested so much in those kills early on.
Tholdren's Gnar is next to non-impact. Like, he's 8 CS to 30 on Marin. Level 3 to level 5. Marin's going to have access to his equalizer. He may even be able to solo Dumble Doge.
Ooh, there's a lot of minions there. Dumble Doge taking a bit too much damage. Good exhaust, but it may have just told him he can go even harder since the exhaust wore off, and he's home free.
Yeah, it's not over yet. We do see Theocles and Energy in trouble. Bengi's looking for the knock-up. He finds it. He's going to get the Wrath down. They turn to Theocles, and that's 2 more kills for SKT.
Revenge for SKT after that start. This is the cost of Besiktas sending 4 people mid to kill Faker on his birthday, 2 minutes 30 seconds into the game. The dive, well, the kill in the top lane was because Dumble Doge was level 2 since he did roam mid lane, since he was trying to control the vision early on. Everything else, the mid lane Energy burned his flash for the kill in the first place, so it wasn't up on the return kill from Bengi. And SKT now in control.
6 minutes in, things already getting rough and rowdy, gentlemen. 6 kills on the board. We're going to stick to 1 a minute so far. A very nice Lantern there for Wolf. Something SKT does very well. This Thresh pick allows Bengi to harass all the time like that and get in the enemy's jungle.
Yeah, it does manage to avoid the threat and get out clean. Keep an eye on Tholdren, still level 4 to level 6. Marin's going in, he wants Nardius.
He is just laying down the fire anywhere, knowing Nardius half health really won't be able to go back into lane. He is completely pushing him off of that. And Energy looks to be using that little bit of help he got early very nicely.
Yeah, keeping Faker back in the lane right here. I do have to say, though, Marin is going to be a problem.
I think he already is one.
Already has those home guards.
It's because the lane swap wasn't that real. They had a Sivir 1v1 against him early on in the game and allowed him to farm, get the experience and gold. Then he also was the beneficiary of the kill in the 3-man dive, plus the solo kill. Early home guards, he's going to keep his presence up this entire time. And a lot of damage.
Marin is in so much trouble. Does manage to flash the gank.
Yeah.
But SKT are replying to the roam squad of Besiktas in kind and more effectively.
Now with that help back to the top lane, things get a little easy for Nardius. He could not stay up there by himself against Marin right now. As we were saying, home guards already there for him. And we can see SKT with a little bit more knowledge around Dragon. They want to start getting themselves a little bit more ahead of the game. Could see another, now I was going to say invade from Faker, but it looks like they are just focused on the objective.
Yeah, definitely something SK2 do incredibly well is Dragon control. Very early, and there's no way you want to challenge, especially considering the strength that SKT have at the moment. But I just want to hit on Marin's Gnar really quickly. Again, he's really strong, really powerful at the moment. 2-0 in their last 2 performances with a 9 KDA. This is a champion that he's super comfortable on, and I don't see how anyone from Besiktas is going to handle him, because yes, they have some survival tools in Lulu and Janna, but a good equalizer can negate a lot of that power.
They did not have to move Marin out of that top lane for the Dragon. They had to do nothing different. Things really
didn't
going
even
to
need
favor
him.
SKT.
Teleport wasn't even available.
Not at all.
Yeah, the teleport advantage isn't actually a factor right here because Besiktas is just behind the curve of this game right now. They're still using Nardius and Double Doge in that top lane, yet it's not denying Marin in the slightest. And they're still getting farm in other facets of the game, that is SKT, which is just increasing this gold advantage more and more.
Faker still, even in CS after that death, after a second time being pushed out of lane we saw from Energy, so keeping very strong in the middle for SKT as per usual.
Marin,
that's the overheat.
Up, and we do see Exhaust comes out as well, but Wolf is around. Death Sentence does connect. Nadius in a little bit of trouble as the Equalizer goes down to split them up. The Lantern pulls Wolf in.
Oh, they go right for Dumble Doge. He's going to go down. Doesn't have anything to use for it anyways, in a great counter hit there by SKT.
I really like the way SKT is actually playing around Marin when necessary. Once the Dragon was taken off the map, the objectives change and they're going to help out their carry Rumble.
Faker with the blue buff, Energy not with the blue, and that means Faker's going to be spitting out soldiers everywhere. The glitter lance hopefully giving him the space he needs. Shifting sands will put Faker closer, but he doesn't have that much mana. Energy trying to get away. Energy throws down his ignite. Faker throws down the cleanse. Oh, it's going to be Faker coming up in the 1v1.
So close.
At least Energy tried.
At
least he tried to try and take down Faker. This is BeSiktas losing all over the map right here. Turret dive attempt from Bang. Woo! Played a little close to the chest right there.
SKT playing a little eager here, it feels like, chasing down the kills, but they are coming away with it. Props to Energy for the attempt. He did make that joking room page post, 15% time spend less dead. We'll see if it works out.
I checked in Champ Select. He is running a real rune page. 15% time dead rune reduction was but a joke for Energy.
Good branding, good sense of humor at the very least. Keeping up in CS thanks to that very early gank and the fact that Faker did give up first blood. But just after the 10-minute mark, BeSiktas find themselves 2,000 gold down. And SKT's power with Lucian, Rek'Sai, Rumble is just going to get even more dominant in the next 10 to 12 minutes. And we need to see how BeSiktas handle themselves, whether or not they can hold on to their alpha turrets.
Yeah, and now that Marin has his teleport up, it just becomes even more threatening. It's now a teleport discrepancy, and this is something that SKT is going to use to their advantage. When BeSiktas had theirs, they had their teleporter in the bottom lane. Yeah. No good teleport opportunities. Now the lanes have kind of flipped back to standard, but Marin is head and shoulders above Thaldrn. If he doesn't solo kill him, he's going to use his teleport to go elsewhere and create a pretty big play.
Another thing that's head and shoulders above right now is SKT's wards around the map here. Kind of nonchalantly walking into the dark brush, but after that they have the vision of Energy coming in. Everybody else there to help the fight. A little bit of a disengage there coming out of Dumble Doge as well, but he doesn't even have that ultimate yet to help out.
Yeah, Faker's Morellonomicon there on his ear comes in and does some massive damage, completely pulling Theocles out of that fight, which then just creates all the more safety for Bengi and Wolf to be that roaming ward squad that can now show up 3 people in each lane. Wolf has hardly been a support this game. He's been a ganker.
Absolutely. Helping Bengi out, following him around, allowing for the deep wards and an instant dark passage exit from the jungle, and they have all the vision they need. Marin again, whether it's Nardius or Thaldrn in the top lane, he's just throwing down the equalizer and pushing out his opponent.
40 CS difference and 2 levels. Marin can have his way with anybody on this map, and Bengi now maybe setting up for Energy in this mid lane.
A lot of pain going on to Energy here. Bengi's floating down. I'm interested to see what Bang and Wolf also do in this situation. They're obviously going to start crushing down, put the stranglehold here onto the bottom lane, but it looks like they actually pull off it. They didn't like the setup, and SKT stops that one for now, but it did not look like Wolf and Bang stopped. There goes the Sivir. They're going in for the fight.
That Glacial Prison does lock him up, but as soon as it does, Bengi arrives for the counter gank. BeSiktas not going over eager. Nardius no heal and not enough hit points.
A little bit of miscommunication there by SKT escaping that gank. Bang used his dash over top of Wolf's Lantern, but they still had full summoners up so they could burn all of their escape summoners, still escape the gank, and now they're going to be prepping the wards for Dragon number 2.
SKT, 13 minutes on the clock, starting to pitch the vision net in BeSiktas' jungle. We've seen Bengi counter jungling significantly this game, over and over, and Wolf, as you said, the ganking partner working out. Death Sentence just goes wide, but the Lantern and the power of Rek'Sai in the early game working in their favor. Now Marin, I think he's going to destroy Thaldrn.
Oh, wow. Hex Drinker popped with 2 spells for Marin's Rumble up there. Still holds teleport, but now the advantage has been equalized. Thaldrn technically has teleport and would be able to TP into a fight, but he has no... Comparing the power of the Rumble and the Gnar isn't really close in any sense of the word. Hopped Hex Drinker and more Magic Resist versus a Rumble who's halfway to level 11 right there on his experience bar.
Yeah.
SKT in great position for this next Dragon.
Yeah, and this is something that we sort of expected from Besiktas. The fact that the laning phase was going to be very difficult for them, knowing the strength of SKT's individual players and their team play. But you have to step back and give some props to Besiktas. They did initiate the lane swap. They did go for that early gank. And they are trying to make things happen. They're just unfortunately missing out on one or two of those plays, not having the hit points for the fight, not initiating 100% together at times. But props to Besiktas for trying. They're not just laying down.
That's definitely one thumbs up I saw from them at the beginning of the game. Even Energy trying to go one-on-one versus Faker once again. Those chances, those opportunities, a lot of teams fall back and wait for their team to try and go for it.
But at the same time, SKT is displaying what it means to be a world-class team. When your mid laner gets 4-man ganked at the start of the game, you don't just let that happen. You take an advantage off of that. And after that 4-man gank, it gave Marin an edge in that top lane, which he has continually extended throughout this game. And now SKT is controlling the Dragon.
Oh, Energy's in so much trouble. Forced to use the Wild Growth. A bunch of summoners have been blown. Here's the teleport from Tholdren. He's already in Mega Gnar. The Prison catches Wolf and Beggy. It's another kill to Besiktas, but the Dragon is now taking down the Turkish squad.
They dove right into Theocles, and now they're going to serve him up. Bengi over the wall. Marin piercing the heavens with that equalizer. Now on to Tholdren. It's going to be Dumbledore on one side, but now those guys are split. And I don't know if they really want this. The I think I can situation actually falls on Nardius, and he cannot.
He definitely cannot, as he gets taken out by Bengi and Marin. We did see SKT securing the Dragon in and amongst all of that. 3 kills to their name, and most likely a tower if they stick around. A fantastic team fight for SKT. They accelerate to a 6,000 gold lead at 15 minutes.
Bengi and Marin are a killing squad right now. 8 of the 9 kills for SKT on those guys, and they ran around the back of the Dragon pit that time, while the rest of SKT was pretty much just taking the Dragon and crushed that team fight. 6,500 gold now, guys, plus the 2 Dragons. SKT looking sharp.
And it's such an easygoing game for Bang. He was sitting on some 2,200 gold for a while. It just shows you SKT's in no rush to go back, try and force more. They're getting everything they want here by letting kind of BJK play the game they want.
Yeah, Bang had actually set some slightly different itemization. I think they went to Theocles.
Yeah, he had to use Smite for it, so they could not pass the blue buff over to Energy since SKT harassed it.
And I just want to touch on something, Jet, that you mentioned earlier in the game, how individually the gap continues to shrink region to region. Mechanically, these players are okay. Looking at the Energy versus Faker 1v1 as an example. But then you contrast Faker's positioning around the Dragon fight with Energy's and the way SKT pushed into the objective and played around. And that is exactly what you were alluding to there, Jet, as the game was building up.
So much of this is in the setup and where players get their farm. The awareness of SKT to know exactly what to do in these lane swaps and punish Besiktas for committing to certain ganks has been very strong. And now they just have this monumental gold lead. But they're testing their luck here.
Well, hopefully the monumental fan base of that 47% vote from Besiktas pushes them through here. A little bit of that is what they need. Faker with a nice Emperor's Divide, but it put himself on the wrong side. Theocles could have gone down, but he gets the Wild Growth, and I think they're going to continue. Marin comes in with a teleport.
And that equalizer decimated Besiktas. There's 3 members down already, and Bang and Marin looking for more. Dumbledore is going to get away from the culling, but at what cost? The rest of SKT sticking around to put pressure in the mid lane.
3 down, the 4th out of position. Bengi's going to try and chase him down, keep him occupied. SKT just protecting Faker at that point. Everyone wanted to kill him. Dumbledore, he was trying not to move so Tremor Sense wouldn't see him.
Yep.
SKT
not long for that world. Marin actually being in that fight. Teleport is down. My mistake on that one. So SKT was already in position to make things happen and still put the pressure most likely on that mid lane and take down the 2nd tier turret that Tholdren is trying to guard. 32,000 now to 23,000 just about for Besiktas, and the Baron is going to be coming up quite soon. I'm sure SKT will put the pressure on that as well.
Yeah, and if you step back and look at the game, SKT are not playing safe and controlled. This invade is quite risky for a Raptor camp.
Oh yeah, they're playing with the 7,000 or 8,000 gold lead, knowing they're stronger and almost trying to bait Besiktas into fights because they look like good fights to take. At that point, they had a good Sejuani ult to start. Faker came in with the flank. The Emperor's Divide actually used as a nice defense to make sure Besiktas couldn't chase through after he knocked the Theocles back. And then you can tell it's just a difference of priorities. Besiktas really just wanted to kill Faker again near the end of that fight, and they couldn't. Everybody ended up dying, and SKT again in the jungle. Poor double doge.
Oh!
Yeah, he wins. They can't snipe him this time. He gets out alive on that one. And as you saw in that replay, anybody hit by it, one person, no matter who it is just getting zeroed out immediately. Everybody has items to kill someone as quick as possible on SKT right now.
Yeah, but what a big signal on the state of the game. Monsoon just to save the support's life. The Glacial Prison just to keep Thaldron up, who again is still, you know, a level down 50 CS. Morin's got a death cap already. Death cap Rumble is not something a lot of people particularly like. We'll let that one slide because Bengi's been doing it and he didn't have the support of Wolf this time around.
Talking about the hat of magic on Marin's Rumble right there. Honestly, Rumble has very good AP ratios, and if he's never getting aggressed on, he does have the flat magic penetration. That's the way you shred a team with Equalizer as much as possible. That's one of these things you only do with an 8,000 gold lead, but is also not bad to do with an 8,000 gold lead.
That's what I was alluding to. I know the Death Cap first Rumble has enraged many a European top laner, but 6-0-2, and let's be frank, not the largest amount of damage on the Besiktas team composition. You go back to the picks and bans, there was the hover of Cassio plus Lulu. Lulu top with this scenario, less CSS levels, would have offered more than a Gnar top had they gone that route, but that is of course hindsight. And not the state of the current game we're busy playing.
Nope. See the Baron attempt now coming from SKT, or rather, Baron focus. We saw Wolf's pink ward moved up towards the top side now, so the priority is starting to shift here for SKT as their wards are already far enough forward to make this quite an easy Baron.
Well, yeah. Baron's only been alive for 40
also have
seconds.
the Tremor Sense and the wards to see where Besiktas tries to come in from. So I feel like they're using this to try and bait Besiktas into a choke and then maybe have Marin teleport in behind. They have a very nice ward behind this fight for Marin to TP in on, and then they already catch energy.
Oh, it does look like Besiktas want to re-engage. Bengi's gone low. The Emperor's Divide already used, but there's the equalizer, and it destroys Besiktas. Throwing those Sand Soldiers forward. Marin is overheating, but he's got the Flame Spitter ticking. 2, 3 more kills for SKT. That's now 10,000 gold in the lead, and anything they want, they can have.
SKT didn't even need the ward to teleport in on Marin, walked through the mid lane in order to pull that one off. Now 16 kills to 4, 10,000 gold. Here comes Rek'Sai, this is Baron.
It's great getting those home guards and using that scrap shield to get yourself out in the lane. We see Marin do it all the time. We heard the analyst desk talk about it, and it has been used to great effect this game. Those home guards came out early and have helped Marin get to that 6-0-4, along with Bengi's help, 6-2 and 8.
And the second time in the last 5 minutes that Energy has been the one that has been caught out of position.
Yeah.
Not really respecting the lack of vision or the engaged power that SKT have, as the Baron was secured and the third Dragon. SKT can just start sieging any lane they want to push that in him.
Yep.
Yeah, and with this Baron buff, I don't expect it to take that long. Taking another look at this fight, though, they really blew energy around. But honestly, Theocles, good Sejuani ultimate. Nice bit of boomerang there by Nardes to get Bengi at least low. But at this point, in a choke point against Rumble and Azir, not even a great equalizer. If the equalizer would have hit there, it would have been pentakill, basically, right off the bat. But Marin, as well as Faker, get to use all the damage over the wall. And there's not much to analyze left when you're down 11,000 gold for these team fights.
Well, we are looking for the pentakill or the Baron steal.
That's right.
That's how we get that bonus gift.
Trigger the mystery gift bonus in the store. If a player gets a pentakill or a Baron steal, you're going to be able to have the chance to gift someone, to double the chance, a legendary and esports skin.
If anybody could do it, Faker with Hourglass Morello and nearly Death Cap, or Marin with Death Cap haunting guys. One of these two could.
Here's the thing, there's so much damage on SKT right now that someone's going to take it by mistake.
I'm a believer, Jets.
Look at that. That's why you build Death Cap on Rumble there. Like 2 seconds of the equalizer on energy, and it takes him to 30%.
Now the split becomes real for Besiktas. Can they control this? It's been a tough game as SKT put their foot down hard. Seeing that Besiktas came out firing as well. First blood to the mid lane with 4. SKT answered immediately.
Definitely a tough game straight out the gate for the wildcard region winners. Remember, they are representing the 7 regions that took part in that tournament. 6 of their opponents fell. And all 6 of them, including likes of Oceania, Brazil, for example, keeping their eyes on. But look at this, SKT, they've cracked open the base. They're on this mid lane inhibitor. And Besiktas, they can't even start a fight. They need a Glacial Prison from Theocles, but their energy's caught out and he's down.
Little too close for comfort, and definitely an inhibitor going down here. SKT is actually running by it right now with focus on the kills for a closeout of the game. That possibility is very much in reach as they now head for the top side.
SKT still has a little bit of Baron left. I feel like they're going to take these 2 inhibitors unless they find a fight recall.
Well, at the moment, Besiktas have got no tools left to them. Lulu is down. Glacial Prison is out. SKT still hanging about. Death Sentence goes wide and finally back off as the Baron ticks out. The base is now cracked. And SKT setting themselves up to close the game out. The laning phase, a little exciting, a little over-eager for SKT, but a lot cleaner the last 6 or 7 minutes.
Right.
Clear baiting around objectives and just strategic play from the #1 team from LCK.
Ryan had that big advantage in the top lane.
Oh, yeah.
But then use that for the rest of it. We do have to talk about Besiktas and their road here as well, though, because for those of you who didn't watch the International Wildcard Invitational, 7 regions, Besiktas actually didn't have the easiest time in that tournament. They went 3-3 in the group stage there. They moved on to the semifinals based on a tiebreaker advantage they held over the Australian team, Chiefs, and then they were able to make that run through the playoffs once they were the number 4 seed from the group stage there to become the champions and represent the International Wildcard at MSI right here. They're trying to pull off a miracle in this tournament. Doesn't look like it's going to be this game against SKT.
Yeah, the pressure is on. If they were nervous about the fans last time a little bit, they got to be nervous about against this lead of SKT. That last outer tier turret goes down, and they now have their eyes only set on the base. He Emperor divides him off the wall. He can't get through the gate. Faker, playmaker coming up big.
And there's a little bit of personal pride on that one after how well Easy Hoon handled Azir in the LCK finals. SKT decides to peel into the base. There's the equalizer down. SKT setting aside to the Nexus turrets. What can Besiktas do to stay alive?
The equalizer completely zoning Besiktas off any protection of their Nexus turrets. The health bars are falling just as fast for them, and they are putting up one hell of a final fight, trying to get Thaldrin down now. Bang is going to make that final shot. Actually, it's Fakers. They focus on the Nexus, and SKT will take game 2 over Besiktas at the midseason Invitational.
26 minutes, 25 seconds. SKT gets their first win. Not a surprise here against Besiktas. The only surprising thing was Faker probably giving up first blood in this match when 4 people arrived in his mid lane. Outside of that, though, Marin, Faker, the whole crew showed up this match.
If Faker's God, that just makes him stronger, right? When you kill him, he just gets stronger. And that is exactly what happened. Coming out strong, the Azir play, he still had 231 to 147 CS and did not fall behind CS when he was dead in his lane.
So the thing is, it felt like Besiktas had this idea of lane swap and roaming ganks that in theory wasn't bad. The problem is they lost so much at the cost of those decisions. They gave up a lot of CS, a lot of experience, and a lot of gold to their opponents, and SKT just played the mid game very well. A little overeager in the laning phase, but I think they were having some fun with that game and just sort of outclassing Besiktas in this matchup.
Marin on Rumble, just relieving so much pressure on the map for SKT, being in that top lane. Always pushing out Nardius, always pushing out Thaldrin. Just Rumble, equalizer, he didn't care. As soon as they walked in front of him, he threw it on him and then won the lane again.
Yeah, and SKT always punishing Besiktas for any positional move they make, even if it's to commit for a kill. They would then use that time to push a lane, get experience where they need to, place wards, and then that always set up the next big play for SKT.
Yeah, and the one thing you also have to keep highlighting is Bengi and Wolf for the first 15 minutes. Consistently in Besiktas' jungle, almost disrespecting the ability to counterplay, but when you've got that Rek'Sai, when you've got the Lantern, there's a lot of tools to escape, and they were used multiple times and weren't punished for that, which is something that maybe other teams can look to do if SKT make those same decisions later in the day.
We'll definitely keep an eye on if Besiktas as well begins to hone their skills as other international wildcard teams have at these international events. Now, as we finish up that game, we're going to get more insight on SKT's win. We're going to hand it off to our analyst desk.
Thank you, Riv. And before we get into any analysis, we actually have our first MSI big play for you straight from this last game, and it comes from @MontressOmen, who says, wait, what? 3 minutes first blood on Faker? Here it is.
Looks like Thakali's and Thaldrin just on the other side, and it's going to be as well. Dumbledoge from the top lane. The hits go in. No, 10 points to Dumbledoge. First blood.
Oh, they're definitely having fun with it, though. That's the thing I love about Besiktas here, is because they're coming in with the right mentality. You can see 4 people mid lane. They don't care. They want to kill Faker. They're joking about having a rune page with 15% reduced time on death. Like, they are here for the right reason. Like, they are a top team in the international wildcard, and they're coming in with the right mentality that they're going to learn while they're here and test their style.
Absolutely. Now, remember to keep calling out those jaw-dropping moments from the action all week long by tweeting them to @LollySports, and be sure to use that hashtag MSI Big Plays, as well as MSI 2015. Now, turning to the actual match at hand, I want to jump off of what Zyrene said here, which is that Besiktas is coming in with the correct mentality here. They're looking to make early aggressive plays, but have fun while doing it and really stretch themselves as a team.
Yeah, I personally had a lot of fun watching this game, and the first 5, 6, 7 minutes where they traded 1 for 1 and were 2-1 up, that was really fun to watch. And
it was awesome.
Then, of course, SKT slowly coming back, what we kind of expected. But yeah, absolutely enjoyed watching this game, and I think going forward, this is something, you know, I'm looking forward to see BJK face off against this other team.
Personally, I'm looking forward more to SKT. And the thing that's really impressive for this one was there's obviously a mismatch of teams, but at 18 minutes, SKT gets a 10K gold lead. I mean, you don't do that on a regular basis versus anybody. Like, that's such an impressive way of gathering gold. Like, they have CS leads across the board. They've denied experience in every right place. They're getting solo kills. They're playing aggressively. They're using the teleport efficiently. And that's something that these other teams have to look out for when they face SKT, because the second you slip up, we know how relentless the Asian teams are at punishing one mistake. EDG does it as well. You slip up once, you're done.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Coming into this, I think it shows us a lot about both teams. It shows that Besiktas, they're not going to be scared to pull the trigger on any play because they're here for the right reasons. They want to learn. They want to test how far they can push themselves. And I think that teams will watch how SKT played against them and take a lot away, because any other team, you can kind of get into the brawly, yeah, we're maybe a little bit better mechanically, we'll team fight you, we'll turn it into your kind of the game. And that's where the game deteriorates, and maybe they sneak a win. Whereas SKT, they didn't do any of that. They stuck in their lanes. They farmed up. I actually think the Rumble pick was really interesting. I thought that they would have taken it first pick. Thaldrin plays a really good Rumble in the top lane, and because we kind of know, even before this, when we look at their teams, Besiktas is a team that falls behind early game. They did it against INTZ. They even did it against Bangkok Titans when they played them in the semis of the International Wildcard Invitational. Get something that performs a little bit better mid-game if you can't get that heck room.
Yeah, when I was watching SKT, I was saying, wow, this is kind of what I saw before. Faker was playing Vladimir in one game, and he got 4-man ganked mid lane and gave away first blood. I think this is maybe something teams can actually tackle on with their early aggression and looking for early kills.
Yeah, but while people are like busy camping Faker, trying to make him an assault maker, salt shaker, there you go, Faker, salt shaker. They're getting other things on the map. Marin's getting a CS advantage top, and that ends up being huge for them because he starts dominating that lane. Every time they threw the 80 carry up there, it's like, oh god, push him out of lane. And then it's like, all right, tag team, here comes the top laner. It's like, nope, he gets pushed out of lane. And then Marin just started running away with the game there, and he was able to buy death cap on the Rumble.
Yeah, and a lot of what they do is like they don't hit back with the big kills and things, but you see as soon as they go up to the top lane, straight away, 2 people are into the bottom side of the jungle. They ward up everything. All of a sudden, you have one less option in the map. You have to clear out the whole side of your jungle before you can go anywhere. So I honestly think that this was a very good technical game from SKT, if nothing else. They controlled the entirety of the map. Maybe not the champions, but you saw that eventually that stranglehold did take place, and then they were just able to sweep it out.
Yeah, and I feel like this is exactly what we expected from Korea or SKT. They have this really standard play, and they see that they get the kill first blood mid lane with 4 people, and they're just like, okay, this is happening. They play their game, they slowly get vision control, and they punish every mistake, and then boom, 18 minutes, 10K ahead. You know, what are you expecting?
Going into the future, I think that the teams have to stay away from what Besiktas did versus SKT, because they were having fun. You know, they just want to kill Faker. They can say they did it. He's a pillar in mid lane. Even if he dies many times over, he's still going to be able to be super useful for his team. He's shown it on Syndra. He's shown it on Vladimir. He did it right here. Didn't get camped that much, but still was able to get almost a one-shot kill towards the end of the game. Granted, it was a huge gold lead. I think they should be putting a little bit more focus into the top side of the map on Marin. He's shown that when he gets camped, he can struggle to make it back into the game, and he is a little bit aggressive and can be camped out rather easily. So for the future teams playing against SKT, I'd like to see them not so much take what Besiktas did, but look at how SKT plays in the previous game.
I still feel like, on the flip side, Energy was at one point 1v1ing Faker and was kind of indecisive. And I think if he was more decisive, he could have snowballed his lead way better.
Let's explore this a little bit, though, the idea of what teams can do against SKT, using this game for a little bit of knowledge. Because interestingly enough, as you mentioned, 18 minutes, they have a 10K gold lead. They are the highest average gold lead at 20 minutes coming into this tournament at 2,600. So it's pretty significant how they build these gold leads. And as you mentioned, without you kind of realizing it. You know, they're giving up some kills, but all of a sudden they're coming out ahead in gold. So, you know, Marin being one of those possible carry top laners, he did get an astronomical amount of CS in a 2v1. I think if we find teams that are more successful in 2v1s are able to keep Marin down, that might be the window in to beating SKT.
I mean, it's because it's a game of push and pull. You can't put all your resources in one place. They put all the resources into mid lane. Immediately, SKT is not thinking, oh, wow, Faker's behind. How are we going to ever do this? It's like, well, no. They're weak in the other areas now. Let's punish the lane swap. Let's get an advantage while they focused on one side of the map. And they did that. They put Faker behind, but they didn't intentionally put Rumble so far ahead. And that's what SKT can do to you. They really need to be careful with the resource management in getting a lead, the teams that play versus SKT.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. And I think that one thing that you can take away from that is what do you get off killing someone? So in that situation, if Besiktas then roam into the top side of the jungle and push Marin off that turret by completely taking over the top side of the map, then yeah, you say that's a definitely good move because all of a sudden you've gone to your 2v1. But if you just kill someone recall, then you're not going to get that much off it. So I definitely think we agree on that point. Camping out Marin is an interesting one. I think that they will put him in 2v1s and teams will play the 2v1 a little bit differently, so Marin will be forced into a jungle follow. I think that the way that you really do beat SKT is with a little bit deeper wards and try and catch out Bengi and Wolf. I think that they're two of the more aggressive players, and I think especially with the control style of some of the junglers, that they are two players that are susceptible of just going on random walkabouts, Wolf especially, and he can be caught.
Yeah. And something I want to bring up, you were talking about this game and its implications towards how to beat SKT. When SKT throw an easy Hoon, it's a completely different team. The dynamic changes, the dynamic shifts, and where they're allocating their jungler is completely different too. Bang gets a little bit more of their gold, a little bit more of their carry potential. So this game, if you're just focusing on this one, it's not actually going to tell you a whole lot about SKT's play style as a whole. Like, it's really difficult to play against them because they're the only team that's really flexing a sub efficiently and using it appropriately. And it's absolutely terrifying to prepare against.
Honestly, when I watched this game, I was like really looking forward for EDG versus SKT because what happened after they fell behind? SKT was together with the support in jungle invading the enemy jungle, and this is something we've heard before. EDG is really good at, and if maybe in the early game they have a goal discrepancy, I see that actually EDG can come out ahead and pull forward from there on.
Yeah, it will be interesting to watch other early aggressive teams punish SKT maybe a little bit more in those early ganks. We'll keep it tuned right here because when we come back, we'll check in with the conversation taking place on Twitter. Then it's back into the action with Game 3 featuring China's Edward Gaming versus the LMS's AHQ Esports Club. Stay with us.
Hercules and Thaldrin just on the other side, and it's going to be as well. Dumbledore's from the top lane.
Who is the monster of the mid lane now?
Look at me, I'm the monster now. Bengi's looking for the knockup, he finds it. He's going to get the Wrath down. They turn to Theocles, and that's 2 more kills for SKT.
They dove right into Theocles, and now they're going to serve him up. Bengi over the wall. Marin piercing the heavens with that equalizer.
The Empress Divide already used, but there's the equalizer, and it destroys Besiktas.
And SKT will take game 2 over Besiktas at the midseason Invitational.